Hi everyone, Emma here. So this is a bit of an update to a tutorial that I did. I feel like the tutorial was a bit, I don't know what's the right word, but it was not my best work. But I think that's because this design um, is coming from a design that like different designs I've seen in videos, and I haven't done enough of these bracelets to really nail down the design that I feel works the best. So this is a work in progress. I will show you what I have so far, and I want to show you a variation of the design. And this colorway was a suggestion by one of the comments. So I appreciate that. I apologize. I'm just useless when it comes to remembering who said what. So if it's you, by all means, say it was me, and I will definitely try to remember that. And I'm just looking at these two, and you know what? These look different sizes. Let me see. I'm just counting 6 here and 6 there. So they are the same. Maybe this one, I think what happened is I did these tighter, so it's keeping its shape as a round. And if you see this side, it's quite flat, squishy flat. So actually in this video, I think I'm going to try to alter this so that we can, and I'll do it with this one here, because this one is almost done. So the other part to this is I love the way these look. So let me pull this one out here. I'm just checking there's just one string. So there's a lot of strings. There's a lot of strings attached. Let me adjust the camera here. So look at how lovely this is. Initially, I talked about potentially taking, the camera's still monkeying around. So initially I talked about possibly attaching each strand at certain sections so that they stay together. But the way it's done on this here, you really don't need that. It sits on your wrist pretty nice. So unless you want it particularly to like stick together like that, I mean, it still looks beautiful like that. But once you just lay it on its own and move around, you get like you're wearing a 3-strand bracelet. So yeah, so that's that one, and I'll just go through the 3 different designs. This was the first one. So the idea was you used 4mm pearls, 4mm bicone, 4mm pearls. I like this in the sense that if you don't have a lot of crystals, you can use whatever bead you have. You could put a flat check flower bead there, whatever. You're just going to have to alter the amount of seed beads you have. And I'll tell you, you can see on this side, these flowers or circles, there is a gap. So this was the first one, and I definitely adjusted since then. So the bicones, I added an extra seed bead on each side, and it looks nice and uniform, but you can still see there's gaps in the corner. So when I got to, so this one here being all Swarovski's crystals, you can see everything looks pretty even all around. But I felt like these corner pieces were missing something. So that's when I took this one here, and this was amazing. It was suggested that I use Ceylon instead of the galvanized check or galvanized beads, and it looks amazing. Love it. And of course these Swarovski crystals are stunning, and I do feel like they get a bit lost in the white, but you know, it's interesting pulling them out. I knew when I ordered them that I wanted something. Let me just get these strands on the other side. I wanted something that to make flowers with. And So that's why I got the yellow, but you know what? When I pulled them out, and let me show you, they are incredible. So it definitely got me going thinking, I need, look at these. Aren't they amazing? Oh my God, they're so beautiful. I hope you can see how gorgeous they are on the camera. In my hand, it's like, oh my God, they look like beams of light. They're so extraordinary. And they have the AB on it, so you can see the purple color coming through, the blue and the purple. And yeah, so I had to do something where these really shine. So I have, and I leave them in the bag that they came in. So this is the color number, and this is how many I ordered. So I ordered 20 sets of 10. That means I had a total of 200. And if you look and you count how many I've used, then you know how much is left. So that's why I leave these numbers on, because normally I like to put them in a nice new bag that's not crinkled. My OCD kicking in. So let's take a look. I want to show you this part, and then we'll try and put some 8/0 beads in here to keep this nice and rounded. I was going to do the finishing of this bracelet and add a clasp to it, but as I started pulling out what I wanted, first of all, I don't know particularly. I have a few ideas on extending this out a bit, because these all fit my wrist, which is 5 3/4. And I have to shout out to Diane Hodgkins. She's been doing some incredible work for me, getting my orders and then reshipping them to me so that I don't have to pay duty on them and shipping on that section going through the States. So anyway, I sent her a bracelet that fit me, and you know what? It's too big for her. So she officially has the smallest wrist I've heard of. Let me know if you have a smaller wrist than this, and I will actually make you a bracelet. How's that? So her wrist is 5 1/4. So hers is a whole half an inch less than mine, which is, I mean, you see, mine's pretty tiny. So that's hilarious. So let's get going on this. And let me just slide these guys up a bit. So yeah, I was going to do the finishing of this, but I have to, you know, in lieu of the announcement that I made in my previous video about the breast cancer, I'm struggling completing things or getting to them again, and I don't want to. I have some incredible bracelet tutorials to show you, and I don't want to just skim over them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to work on these, and since I have, say, this one that's ready to go, I'll work on this one, and once I've figured out what I want to do, then I'll actually do a video on how to end your bracelet. I think it needs more. You could just put some jump rings and then a magnetic clasp, but because you can see, let me see if I can flip that. So you can see, like, it looks fine on the back side of it. Now that I think of it, maybe we should do it for this one. Just go ahead and do it. So if you guys don't mind, bear with me on this, and we'll get this done. And maybe that'll get me kind of jazzed up to be a little more organized and stuff to do the others. So I am using, and let me enlarge this. So I am using 11/0 Ceylon Pearl seed beads, and I am adding 15/0 galvanized 15/0 seed beads to that. So if you remember from the other video, I'm going to go and do a whole strand so you can see this. So we get to this point, there's 9 sets here, so we're going to add a 10th. So at this point, our thread should be coming out away from us in these 2 seed beads here. So we're going to pick up 2 of the 11/0 Ceylon, and we're going to, if we're coming out here, we're going to go in through the other side of these 2 beads like that. pull that down, get those like that. Okay, now you're coming out of here, you're going to go up through the new 2 that you just added. Go through those guys there, and I always hang on to them because they do move around just because we just added them. Pull that tight. So now, normally what we would do is, actually we're going to do that now. So the next step is you pick up 3 11-O's and your crystal, like that. You're coming out of this side, you're going to go into the other side. Let me see if I can adjust this a bit so that, and move these guys up and slide this guy over a bit. Okay, so that it's in the middle of your frame. Okay, pull those guys down like that. And you don't have to pull it tight at this point because once we go through these here, it will pull it tight. So take a look at what happens. So you're going to go through these 3 11-O's that we just added, like that. So you can see it's quite loose, the thread. Pull that through, and that's it. Nice and tight. Now we're going to add the rest of our beads on. So if you think you need 2 here, 2 here, 3 on each side. So what we need left is 5 11-O's. So pick up 5 11-O's, like that. Coming out of here, we're going to go through these 2 down here. Now at this point, when you pull these guys, sometimes they pop to the top like that. But you got to remember that these don't fit exactly. So you want your crystals to sit on top. So when you're doing this, you have to remember what's the front and what's the back. And that is a bit, you do have to stop and think about that, because when we're making this bracelet, what I did, let me show you. I think I did it for this one. So what I do is I start with your peyote, then fold it over, then start this herringbone and do this whole strand, minus this part here. Then, this is what I normally do. You can do it however you want. Then I did the exact same thing, only opposite, so that when you slide them together, you'll have peyote on this side and a whole strand this way. But you got to remember that your crystals have to be sitting on top when you do that. So that's the only kind of bit confusing thing. So I'm going to pull them so that they sit below, but we're not going to worry too much because you can always push it over. So now we're going to go through these here, but we have this gap, and this is where I want to add my 15-0 seed bead, the gold one. I could have used a Ceylon one, 15-0, but I wanted to kind of bring out the gold in this yellow crystal, so that's why I used the gold 15-0. So then you're going to go through your 3, and I always hang on to them again, like I said, and then just pull it so that they're below, and just hang on to it. Add your next one, your next 15-0, that, and go through 2, because we have 2 at the top and 2 at the bottom of the Ceylon, and my thread's going to come out. I think this is a John James needle that I'm using, and I really like them, but I do have a little bit of a complaint, is that the thread tends to come out. But it's a trade-off because they're so easy to thread. Now, I have some really cheap AliExpress needles. The eyes are so big that the thread comes out all the time. This, it's not as much. It's just when you start pulling at the end. So let's grab our next 15-0. we're coming out of here. We're going to go in through these 3 here and pull that through. And at this point you can start to really kind of tug, because you want that to all sit nicely around the crystal. Now you have 1 left to go. There's your 15-0, and you're going to go through the 2 bottom ones of the 11-0s. And you can go through the 15-0 as well, because we're going to bring our needle back to the top. Just like that. And pull it nice and snug, and there you go. So we want our thread to come out here. So we're going to go up through the 15-0 and the 11-0s and the next 15-0. And again, you can pull it tight. That really secures it nicely. And then just through the 2 11-0s. Because now we are going to finish off by adding this herringbone stitch. And look, there's my thread. We might be a little low on thread here for this section, so we'll see. Okay, so here's the other thing I didn't show you in the other video, is how to progress into your herringbone. So let's go ahead, and I'm kind of learning with you. It's been it's been a week since I did this, so we're coming out of this side. We're going to go into this side of the 11-0s, and we've added 2 11-0s on. So let's go through there, like that. Okay, so you can see it's kind of setting itself up for the herringbone stitch where it creates that little V. So now what we're going to do is go through, so this thread, I'm just hanging on to it, but it's going to go behind here and you won't really see it. I'm going to go through 1. Actually, I think I can just go through this one. Let me see how that works. Just go through this one and let's pull it tight. Yeah, so the thread's right there, but you won't see that once we start adding. If you're concerned, you could go through the bottom ones and come up. Okay, so let's add 2 11-0s. So we're coming out of here, we're going to go into this one here. Pull that through. And we are going to, now we're going to go through the 2 on this side, like that. And pull it tight, so let's see. So you see, you really have to look to see that thread there. And it's going to be on the back side anyway. So as long as you're nice and tight. So you're going to do this for 15 sections. That's what I have on the others. So pick up 2 11-0s, go through the 1 on the other side, like that. And you see when you pull it through, it pops this up, but once we come around to the other side, it will slink it down. So we're going to come up through these 2 on this right side, like that. Like that. And you see how it nicely put that back into that spot. So let's just keep going for a few here. So if you're wondering what I was talking about with the Cancer announcements, you might want to watch the video that I posted before this. I haven't talked much about it since. So funny, because before I got the diagnosis, I guess in one sense I talked a lot about it at the very beginning with my psychiatrist. And then it was like, okay, well, I have to live my life, so I'm not going to talk about it. And of course, I didn't have the diagnosis yet. I was just waiting for what they call a surgical biopsy. So I had to apologize because I know that it was a bit confusing for some people. So initially, I got a core biopsy, and that you just do where they do the mammograms. They have a machine that holds your breast in place and takes images, and then they go in with a needle and remove a small sample of the tissue, and then they send that to pathology to determine whether you have cancer or not. And mine said that I was benign. So they did say, even with benign tissue, that it has to come out, because if it doesn't, it will develop into cancer. So that's why they go in. So I was on a waiting list for surgery, and it was taking so long. So I kept calling the nurse and seeing if there was anything they could do. And there was a cancellation, which my wife says I have horseshoes up my ass because it never happens. Nobody cancels cancer surgery. So, this woman got COVID 2 days, well, tested positive for COVID 2 days before the surgery. And because I had been calling the nurse frequently and saying, I'm available, call me on short notice, I'm retired, I don't have to reschedule anything, I want this taken care of soon. So they were going to cancel that slot in the surgery. And she said, no, I know somebody who will say yes if I call her right now. So I'm trying to think. I can't remember now. I'll have to ask my wife if I got the call or if we got back from a bike ride and she had called. And I was like, yes, of course. So that was messed up. I'm trying to think. I want to say, oh, you know what? So I was trying to think. I thought it was like 2 days before the surgery that she called me. And then I was thinking, no, that makes no sense because my sister came to visit for my birthday. But what it was is I had called and um, to see if it could be rescheduled. And at one point she said, or, no, I called to see if there was an opening. And she said, well, let me put you in for the 20th. But then, as it turned out, it was because it was the wire localization, they couldn't do it. So my sister was coming to visit, and my sister was concerned about exposing me to COVID. Now, she's super careful, and she's been working from home since for the length of COVID isolation. So let me just count this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So we have 4 more to go. So this is my trick for when I'm trying to count how many rows to put in. I will put the amount of beads out that I like, that I for each count. So I'll pick up one of these beads and then I'll pick up however many I need for the set. And then now we know we only have 3 rows to go. That's just like, I'm just letting you know because I tend to count like over and over and over. That's part of the OCD, and I did this wrong. You guys are distracting me. I'll blame you. And of course the thread. I had to take this out of the thread. It didn't go through where I wanted it to go through. Yeah, so, and then of course she called me. So my sister was coming the following week. I'm trying to think. I must have been only a couple of days. My sister was coming on the Monday, like a couple of days before my birthday. So yeah, it must have been a couple of days after my surgery that they came. Okay, I know what I did is I shouldn't have put these on. Let's get these off. Anyway, long story short, she called me. I had 2 days to get ready for the surgery. And I say that it's you know, here I was waiting for this surgery and thinking, you know, let's hurry, I want this surgery. And then once I was 2 days away, it was really stressful. I was like a bit freaked out. But I think the big part of freaking out wasn't necessarily the surgery, it was more of the idea that I would have a definitive answer whether I had cancer or not. And I still find it weird to say I have cancer. Like I'm not, it's almost like I have to sit here and say it over and over to believe it because I'm still kind of in shock over the whole thing. So, but anyway, thank you so much everybody for already a lot of people have commented. I'm sure there's going to be lots more. Um, I really appreciate what everybody's, you know, hanging out with you guys and doing this stuff has really, really, it got me through COVID. It got me through my hand surgeries, and it's getting me through this. I don't know how to thank you enough. We've got we should do a Canada Day giveaway and a 4th of July giveaway. So Canada Day is July 1st, and then July 4th is. And if you come from another country and you have, I'm sure you have your day of celebration, let me know. We'll figure something out. Okay, so this looks short. Let me count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. It is short. I am amazed at how I can see differences like that. But you know, I paint portraits and I can see if a line is out of place. And I've even tested myself where I've drawn something and then from a photograph, and then I take and I trace the photograph and I place it over top of my drawing, and the lines are exactly in the same spot. So, but I've always had really amazing eye-hand coordination. When I was young, I was applying to the police force, so I used to go to the gun range, and they could not believe I could just pull the gun and go like that and hit it every time, the target right on. So I should have been in the. I always wanted to do the biathlon in the Olympics, Winter Olympics, where you cross country ski and then you shoot at targets. So I know I'm totally all over the place here. So now we're going to add this to here. So this part here kind of is your own decision on how you want to add it. I will show you what I've been doing. I feel like there may be a better way because if you think about peyote, peyote is alternate spaces. So it is kind of hard to get a two space into a peyote. So I end up doing 3 rows. So go into, let's see what we have left here. And of course you have to line it up with the 2 other strands. But I do find that this is very forgiving. So again, with this, you got to remember which side your crystals are facing. So we are on the outside row of this. So let's see if I can tilt that so you can see it. Okay, so there's a seed bead here, and then there's this alternate one. There's one at the back and one at the front. Then there's this one here. If you notice, this row is right next to it. So it should have it so that there's one row in between each of these. But it looks like, I don't know. Oh, you know what I think it is? These here are tinier than the galvanized seed beads. So I think that's what happened. So let's go, actually, I was going to suggest we go in through the middle of this end bead, but that would actually bring it into this section here instead of flush with this, and we want it flush. So let's go in through the side, and then that'll give us this space. So let's go like this, like that. We will adjust this so that it fits flush. And actually we could probably do that right now. So I went through that seed bead. I'm gonna go back down the same side I came in, but I'm gonna go down to about 3 rows, and I'll tell you why I do that. Because these 2 top rows here are still a bit loose. So if you start pulling on it, they will pop up and then you'll see your thread. So it's more secure if you go down a couple of rows or a couple of beads. So let's pull that nice, and then go over to the other row. And this thread will snug under here so you won't see it. So let's go in through here and up through like that. And we're going to do the same on this side. So we're going to go into the middle of that seed bead. Let me see if I can get this through here without going through the other beads. There, it's a bit tight, but pull that through and watch what happens. That snugs up nicely. Now it's just a matter of reinforcing that. And just be careful not to affect your peyote. I did notice when I was doing some of these on the side, these peyote beads on the end were actually pulling away from my work. So I'm going to flip this. So now I'm on the other side of that bead. I'm just going to go down 3, pull that up like that, and go in. So now I'm actually just going to go through everything, and that doesn't, you can go up and down. So you can see it's a bit close on this side, these two. That was just miscalculation on my part. I think what I would do is change how many of these I have. But like I said, once you put it side by side, you are not going to notice that. So let's go through, and I am just going to try and tie off my thread. I'm just weaving it through a bit first. Ouch. Ow. Oh, it bit me. Those darn needles. Okay. So let's just, we're coming out of here. We're going to find a thread here somewhere. There, that should do it, like that. So I've grabbed a hold of a thread, and there's not much thread left here, so you don't have much to twist on here. Like that, and then hold that with your nail. Come through and pull that knot. So the knot is right here, so I'm going to go through these beads here, and we should be good. And we can cut this off. Just be careful when you're cutting at the end, you don't clip any of your threads. There. That's that. So let's put it on and see what that looks like. Oh, isn't that amazing? So I have a bunch of threads here. from the side. I kept it because I thought I was going to need it to add on, but oh my heavens, isn't that amazing? So here, let's even it out here. So you can see that looks incredible. Okay, so let's put this one aside and let's work on this silver. So I think I'm gonna hide this thread, because initially I kept this thread on there because I was gonna do some more herringbone or peyote, but I think we're just gonna put chain on this. We're gonna create chain, maybe. Let's see what I have in my supplies. I was gonna call it my tickle trunk. I have to tell you guys a story. So I'm sure you guys know about Mr. Rogers and stuff like that. So I think we had our version of that in Canada. But anyway, we also had a show called Polkaroo, and it was a kangaroo with purple polka dots on. And one of my sisters was a fashion designer. So let's, we're going to put the 8 O's in here to make this stay open. So let's bring our thread through. I am going to open this up so you can see what I'm doing here. So anyway, my sister Sylvia and I used to go to her studio after school and help her with stuff. And I remember she had a costume there. We're like, what's this? And she's like, oh, that's the Polkaroo costume. It's so funny. Like, we were teenagers, so we'd heard of Polkaroo, but we really weren't interested in it or anything, right? And but it's funny when you find out about something that's on TV or that's a celebrity, you're like, oh wow. Anyway, she's like, yeah, that's the Polkaroo costume. It's starting to fall apart, so they wanted me to fix it or do a new one. So I went down 2 beads. That's in the way here. Went down 2 beads, and then I'm going to come through the middle. So I'm just going to stick my needle through and come up through the middle like that. So what I've done is I've kind of anchored my thread down 2 beads. You don't have to put beads all the way through, because once you add a few beads in there, even if you added from here to here, it will hold its shape into the round. So I don't know if an 8/0 will actually fit in there, but we're going to see. And I did pull them out. Yeah, they're right here. These look really big. Okay. We're going to try. They definitely won't go through those holes. Yeah, so, the other thing I wanted to mention, and my sister was reminding me about this, that when we were in high school, we went to an all-girls school, and we had to wear uniforms. And my sister, Carmel, who was the fashion designer, she used to raise money, like do fundraising stuff for, I'm just going to grab these and let's see. I think we can do 4. Like that. That should do it. So I'm just going to bring these down, and then I'm going to bring my thread through, and let's see if we can get those guys in there. So just pulling it through, like, see if they will. I think they are too big. Let me see, because they should go in a lot easier. Okay. I may have to do it the other way. So let's go back out and take these off, bring the thread through, and then pop a bead on at a time. So she used to do fundraising for the Cancer Society in Canada, and the Cancer Society is like for all cancers, and their emblem, I guess, or logo is the daffodil. And yeah, I don't know if this is going to work if the bead is too big. I think the bead's too big. Yeah, that 8-0 is too big. Let me see what I can find. I kept it the same color in case. I wonder if we used, I don't know that they, you know what, the 11-0 might work for this. Let's try it. They seem small. So because she did fundraising, there was a day that was like Cancer Recognition Day, I think. And let's see. If this falls in too easily, then it's definitely too small. So I'm just hanging on to the thread and then pushing the beads in. And what you can do, I should have measured it before I stuck them in there. That needs more. So they sell fresh daffodils, fresh cut daffodils. Well, it's not. I hesitate to say sell. It's a fundraiser, so they offer that for a donation, but the consideration is that you give them $5 for a bundle of, which is probably, I don't know if they still do it where it's only $5, because yep, there, that went through all the way. So actually that's nice and hard. And let me see, you can kind of see the bead in there. So let me take this one in and down and out. So let's go through the third bead there and pull that through. And see if I can pop that into place. Here, I'm just going to pull it. It should go down. There, I heard it click in. And that's solid. I'm squeezing hard. It's not going anywhere. So, and if you're worried, you can just put your needle in there and turn it so that it's flat like that. So now just secure those. We'll do the other side. I'll measure it this time so I know. So this is like 10 across. So you can imagine you probably need about 6 to 8 beads. So let's put that through a couple of these and then we'll tie it off. Here. Yeah, so long story short, our school was right in the heart of Toronto, and she would get us to get some of our classmates to join in, and the school was okay with us doing it. So we would wear our uniforms and we would go down, I want to say Bloor Street. I don't know if it was, or University Street, one of those big streets in Toronto. And we would sell out so fast that we had to keep running back to my sister to get more flowers to sell. Now, the funny part to that, which is probably not funny now. Now you think of this. This is like 30 years ago, more than 30 years ago, 35 to 40 years ago. It was totally okay to send a young attractive girl in a girls' school uniform to sell flowers to raise money for cancer research. Nowadays you'd be like, I don't know about that. That's kind of sexist. Yeah. So let me, I've already put a knot in the side. I'm just gonna bring this through here and then cut it. So it's my funny story. It's funny, I never minded doing it either, and I think part of that was getting out of school. Let me go to the other side. The other side really needs it so you can see how squished up. Let's compare them now. Look at the difference. It's definitely worth doing, for sure. Now, if you don't want this rounded edge on your wrist, let me show you the blank canvas. I think it looks amazing. And then we're going to add some chain here, so I think it'll look amazing. But you may want it to sit flat. You may not want that heavy bulkiness on. Let's see if we can show you the differences once it's on. So there's the flat and there's the rounded. At this, like on this camera angle, it's hard to see. So anyway, let's get to it. But I was bored in high school when I was in grade 9 and 10. And yeah, so every opportunity. I wanted to be an actress. And so it just, I'm going to go through and I'm going to create a knot and then come out. So I'm just leaving a bit of a tail in case this gets loose. So I'm going to find a strand to wrap around, then gently wrap it twice and pull it down. Hold it down, bring your needle and thread through, get your knot in place, and then follow the next set of beads through. So I went through these guys, and it's really hard to see, I apologize. So just go to that next bead here, and go through a few that are on the same angle. And actually that'll probably do it, because there. So now let's cut this piece off so we don't forget it, because I've done that. Okay. So we're coming out of that bead. We're going to go in through the middle and out through the top. I guess we can go all the way down because that's what we did for the other one. So let's go through the middle. Yeah, because we're going to push the beads. I had to think about that for a second. So I'm going to set this down and we're going to calculate how many beads. So I think we need we'll start with 6. So there's 5 and there's 6. So I think we need 2 more. If it's too much, we'll take one off. So there. That should be enough. Pull those down and hang on to your thread and just pop your nail and your thread down, and you see it goes all the way in. There might be some space. Okay. So now I am going to go in through the middle but go down a couple of beads, and that will hopefully, there, I went down 3. That will bring that last one down a bit if there's any space left for these guys to move. Let me slide that through. Yeah, it's not doing what it's supposed to do. Let me see if I can. That went down a bit. Yeah, looks good. So now let's create a knot. So I just hooked my needle under the thread. Do 2 rounds, pull that tight, hold it, and bring your needle and thread through. Pull it in the direction that it's going. So you can see there's a bit of a knot here, but we went through these beads. We're gonna go through a couple of beads and we are set for this one. So I'm just gonna go through 3 and pull through, and there the knot is gone inside that bead. Cut this off. And let's move these guys over. This is what we have. Oh, that makes a huge difference. Wow, this looks amazing. And there is those 2. That looks amazing. So I think we should do some. I have some stuff. Oh, I was looking for these for this. But you know what? I feel like it's too big for it. But that is an option. So let me show you. Let me open this up a bit. So there is an option with this one. What I thought I was going to do was create a shorter strand of the herringbone here and attach it to this, and this would be your clasp. So that's an option, but I feel like this is so blingy that I want. And what you can do if you're doing 2 strands here, because you have 3 here, when you go to do your 2 strands, you could actually put a crystal in the middle and stitch them together like that. And that would kind of bring everything together as a cohesive kind of pairing. So I'm just checking. I have these lovely gold situations that I got from Bead when they were closing down. So one of the things that I like is this extender chain. So I think we should use that because the this way this will fit anyone. I'm just thinking about this carefully because I don't want these to flip. So I'm wondering if I just add a few strands this way, so then that won't flip, and connect it to the middle of here, and then you can always connect through this. So yeah, let's take a look. I apologize, that probably doesn't make much sense to you right now, but let's take a look. So I'm going to get my jump rings. We will definitely need some of those, but get my chain out and see if there's little pieces of chain. So this is my lovely container of chain, and you know what? Not all my chain's in here. Okay, so for these we don't need a large loop because we have an extender chain that we're going to add. So these are more just for decoration here. So I have this stuff, but I think that's a bit plain and maybe a bit small. I do have these. Let me see. Because we wouldn't put much. I don't know, that's kind of... I wish I had like something like this that was thicker. But that's too big for that anyway, so never mind. This one's not too bad. really, oh, you know what? Okay. I don't know. Would that work? This is weird. I got this from Michael's. I didn't realize it's got like connections on it and everything. But anyway, that actually might work. I'm just checking. I have another container of chain that's a smaller bin, but it's hidden somewhere. I think we'll stick with this one. So let's get my pliers out. So let's find the end here. Let's open this up. I think okay, I'm thinking of this on my wrist, so I have to not think that way because my wrist's really small. So I still think we should only do 3 on each side because we're going to have the extender chain. So let's do 3 of these and a jump ring. So let's take this extender chain off. And I need another set of pliers here. I need to order another set of these because they are nice and narrow. Okay, let's see if we can get this off. So I'm going to open this and then keep it on the extender chain. Well, maybe not. Oh, come on. Oh, behave. I wonder if my jump rings are not going to fit on this. These holes are kind of small. There. Let's put this one back on here so that we can use it for something else. I mean, we could use it for that, but I want the hearts. They're so cute. Oh! Okay, 3 and 3 is what we need. Yeah, these are pretty tiny. I can't even open them. They're so tiny. There's 3. I don't know where the opening is. I think it's right there. Do you know, I was just thinking about this. With the cancer treatment, let's put one side on because I don't know if I need to add my jump ring. So the jump ring might be too big for these little things. So yeah, I think these are going to be too big. I'm surprised at how tiny these things are. I needed to get my glasses prescription updated, And I said to Jen, this was a couple of months ago, yeah, these will not fit. Okay, so that means I think what I'm going to do is the one that these are the ones. Let me see if this is the one here that I put. Is to put the thing back on. Yeah, so I needed a update on my glasses, and I said, you know, I should wait. This is not going on at all. Okay, let's rethink this. This is too bad. So I think what I might do is fold over. Oh, it's over here. Okay. Oh, these are like minuscule. And they're hard to get in. Yeah, I mentioned to Jen about the glasses that maybe I should wait till after the radiation therapy. It shouldn't have any effect on my vision, but you never know. Okay, so this is like too tight. It's gonna get. I think, sadly, I think we need to create our own chain. So can we? I don't know how this is gonna work. I'm just looking. Let's take one of these silver plated 7mm because I think we need to put it around some beads, not through them. I don't think they'll fit through. So let's open this. That's not open enough. Let me do this by hand here. You know what I think I'm going to need to do is add some seed beads to create a loop. Because there's not any room for this to go through. Okay. I'm wondering if I thread these on, but I'm still going to end up with a problem attaching these guys. Unless I go this way. But you know what? I feel like this might be like, if depending on how it sits, might be hard on the inside of your wrist. So yeah, I need some beads here. How much string do I don't have enough here. Okay, let's try. You know what? I think I'm going to end here, and I apologize for that. I will come up with something and show you on camera that specific part. And hopefully I'll have the others done, and it'll be nice and displayed. Because I think there's going to be some trial and error with this to get it where I want it. So thanks for joining me. I really appreciate it, and we'll see you in the next video. If I don't do this finished video, I will be doing an unboxing. You're not going to believe it. So my big thing is I like to search AliExpress for things that maybe people don't normally buy on AliExpress, and then I do a review of them. Guess what I have? Delica beads. And I ordered every color they had. there were so many colors that I actually had to do it in separate orders because you're only allowed to order 20 or 30, I can't remember. Maybe it's 20 items from one seller, which I think is ridiculous, but whatever. So this is just one of these. They come in these containers and everything, and they're delicious. So I have that to show you and a whole bunch of other stuff. Take care, everybody. See you in the next video. Bye.